Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. God is trying to speak to you. I want you to pause for a moment, just pause and consider something profoundly unsettling yet utterly vital. Consider the possibility that there exists a voice, call it divine, call it eternal, that is trying to get through to you. And I don't mean some abstract, otherworldly concept. I mean something as real as the ground beneath your feet. A voice woven into the very fabric of your experience, persistently, quietly speaking to you. When we talk about conscience, we're referring to something deeper than fleeting feelings of guilt or regret. Conscience is an internal guide, a voice that resonates within you, pointing toward what is right and warning against what is wrong. It's not arbitrary or easily silenced, though many try. That nagging sensation, that whisper you feel when you stray from your principles or fail to do what you know you ought to, this is something profound. It's not simply your upbringing or societal programming. It's something more universal, something tied to the very nature of existence itself. If I think of the moments when you betrayed your own values, even in small ways, perhaps you've lied to avoid discomfort or failed to stand up for what you knew was right because it was inconvenient. In those moments, a discomfort settles in, a subtle but persistent feeling that something is off. That discomfort is conscience at work. It's not there to punish you arbitrarily. It's there to guide you back to the path you should be on. Ignore it long enough and it doesn't go away. It grows louder, manifesting in anxiety, frustration, or even despair. Conscience doesn't abandon you. It insists on being heard. This voice is a gift, though we often treat it as a burden. It calls you to be better, to rise above your immediate desires and momentary justifications. But the voice of conscience doesn't merely tell you what not to do. It calls you toward something. It encourages you to live in alignment with truth, to act with courage and compassion, to take responsibility where it's needed. It pushes you to aim higher, to transcend your flaws, and to strive for the best version of yourself. The problem is that it's hard to listen to conscience. It often demands sacrifices of comfort, of pride, of the easier path. It challenges you to do what is right, even when it's inconvenient or costly. That's why so many of us choose to ignore it, distracting ourselves with noise, indulgence, or rationalizations. But deep down, we know we can't escape it forever. That voice persists, and it waits patiently for you to listen. Beauty has a way of speaking to us that bypasses logic and reason, reaching into the very core of our being. It's not something we can easily define or quantify, yet we all recognize it when we encounter it. A breathtaking sunset, a piece of music that moves us to tears, the intricate design of a flower, these are not just physical phenomena. They are moments that seem to whisper of something greater, something transcendent. In those fleeting instances, we feel a connection to the divine, as if reality itself is trying to communicate with us. When we experience beauty, it's as though time stands still. The constant chatter in our minds quiets and we are fully present, fully alive. It's not just a feeling of pleasure or satisfaction, it's a sense of awe and wonder. Beauty draws us out of ourselves, reminding us that the world is not merely a collection of random occurrences, but a place imbued with meaning and order. There's an undeniable sense that beauty points beyond itself, acting as a signpost to the sacred. What makes beauty so powerful is its ability to reveal truth in a way that words often cannot. A work of art, for example, can convey the depths of human emotion, the complexities of existence, or the grandeur of the cosmos in a way that strikes us on a deeply personal level. It doesn't explain, it reveals. In that revelation, we glimpse the interconnectedness of all things, the profound intricacy of life, and the possibilities of what it means to be human. But beauty is also fragile. It requires attention to be appreciated. In our busy, distracted lives, we often rush past it without noticing. We scroll past images of nature, barely glancing, or listen to music without really hearing it. Yet beauty waits for us patiently in the quiet moments when we choose to stop and pay attention. So it speaks to us through the patterns and rhythms of creation, inviting us to look deeper, to see with new eyes, and to connect with the world around us in a meaningful way. Beauty, in its purest form, transcends personal preference or cultural norms. It doesn't demand anything from us except our presence and our willingness to listen. Suffering is an inevitable part of life, and yet it often feels incomprehensible, even unbearable. When we encounter pain, whether physical, emotional, or existential, it's easy to question its purpose, to wonder why it exists at all. But suffering, as agonizing as it may be, holds within it the seeds of transformation. It is not random or meaningless. It is a force that shapes and defines us, urging us to confront who we are and what we value. In the midst of suffering, there is a clarity that emerges, a stripping away of the trivial and superficial. When you're confronted with loss, failure, or hardship, you are forced to ask fundamental questions about your life. What truly matters to you? What are you willing to fight for? These questions arise not in spite of suffering, but because of it. The very discomfort that suffering brings compels you to seek deeper truths, to reflect on your choices, and to reevaluate your priorities. Suffering also teaches resilience. It exposes the limits of your strength and challenges you to surpass them. When faced with adversity, you discover capacities within yourself that you didn't know existed. The process is not easy, nor is it painless, but it is profoundly instructive. Each moment of perseverance in the face of suffering builds character, shaping you into someone capable of confronting life's uncertainties with courage and grace. This is not to say that suffering should be sought out, but when it does come, it has the potential to be a catalyst for growth. Suffering often creates empathy. When you've experienced pain, you're better equipped to understand the struggles of others. It breaks down barriers of indifference, fostering a sense of connection and shared humanity. Suffering reminds you that you're not alone, that pain is a thread woven through every human life. In this way, it has the power to unite rather than isolate, to encourage compassion rather than bitterness. Through suffering, we encounter our limitations and the fragility of our existence, but we also glimpse the strength and beauty of the human spirit. It forces us to confront our vulnerabilities, but it also calls us to transcend them. Suffering reveals what we are capable of enduring and ultimately what we are capable of becoming. To truly hear the voice of God or the divine truth embedded within reality requires an active cultivation of stillness. This is not an easy task in a world that thrives on constant stimulation and endless distraction. We live in a time where noise is the default setting, both external and internal. The demands of modern life, the relentless stream of information, and the incessant hum of our own restless thoughts make it nearly impossible to find a moment of quiet. Yet, it is only in that quiet, in the spaces between the chaos, that the whispers of the sacred can be heard. Stillness is not simply the absence of sound or activity, it is a state of being fully present and open. It requires deliberate effort to quiet the mind, to step away from the incessant flow of thoughts, judgments, and worries. In that state of quiet attention, you begin to notice things that were previously hidden, the subtleties of your own heart, the intricate beauty of the world around you, and the faint but persistent voice of your conscience calling you towards something higher. Confronting stillness is not comfortable. When the noise is stripped away, what remains is often unsettling. You are left face to face with yourself, with your flaws, your regrets, your unfulfilled potential. It is in these moments that the weight of your responsibility becomes clear. You see the ways in which you've ignored the truth, avoided difficult choices, or allowed fear to dictate your actions. But it is also in these moments that the path forward begins to reveal itself. Stillness creates the space for clarity, for an honest assessment of who you are and who you could become. This confrontation with yourself requires courage. It demands that you let go of your defenses and excuses, that you acknowledge the parts of yourself you'd rather keep hidden. But in doing so, you make room for transformation. You begin to hear the voice that has been there all along, patiently waiting for your attention. This voice is not loud or demanding. It doesn't compete for your focus. It is gentle, persistent, and unwavering, urging you toward truth, love, and responsibility. Thanks for watching.